friends, welcome to TVC Live. I am super excited tonight. Thank you guys for popping in. If you just got my email, yeah, I dropped the ball on my Sunday newsletter, and then I was stuck in traffic forever. I was like, I've got to get them the link to this show because I'm super excited for tonight. I see a ton of people watching. Hey guys, super excited. Dave says, good evening, everyone. Heidi just made it to Kentucky. If you've been following along on her adventures, she was in Alabama for a while, so that's really cool. Exploring the local life they were on last week. Here they are in the comments. Great. Johnny Lightning, one of our favorite commenters. He always has the funniest things. He says, beware of the catfish. You guys are clearly having a side conversation. I'll let you have that. Anyway, if you're catching the replay, welcome. Put something in the comments like hashtag replay or hey Liz, I'm watching the replay, just so I know that you watched. It means a lot to me. Anyway, welcome TVC Live. Can you believe we are in May already? Tonight's topic is Feed Me, How to Eat Well and Cook Small with Cultivated Journey. I'm really excited to bring her on. Jerry's here. Awesome. Oh, I'm just going to pop up his comment right quick. Jerry Minchie, if you guys remember, I believe I interviewed him back in February. His book, Jerry, in the comments, tell me which book it is again. On Amazon today and tomorrow, one of his books is free on Amazon. So, Jerry, feel free to self-promote in the comments and, put a link to the book. I think it's about retiring and having fun and living wild and free or something like that. It's a fun title. But anyway, hey, guys, welcome. Like I said, I was in traffic for a while, so I didn't have a lot of time to prep this show. So we're just going to get right into the interview. Tonight we are interviewing Melissa, and I won't butcher her last name, so I'll let her pronounce it. I always say it wrong, always spell it wrong, but I triple-checked for the show. But Melissa is a very long time subscriber and member of the Virtual Campground. I first was introduced to her, met her online through that event I was talking about last week, Full-Time Freedom Week. And that was, over a year and a half ago. And then last year we started working really closely when I opened up my Digital Nomad Mastermind. I got to know her. I got to see her hit the road full-time. And I got to see her launch Cultivated Journey, her website, and what she's going to be talking to us about tonight. So she's basically one of my favorite people ever, and so let's just bring her on. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
Hi, Liz. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I am super excited. One of my favorite topics is food, so you always have great advice on that. But before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your RV story, how you got into that?
Okay, well, not long before your first 2017 Full-Time Freedom Week, my husband and I literally kind of sat down over a weekend, and it was actually a couple of hours, and the same as a lot of people's stories. We were both about, within a couple years of turning 50. That's come and gone now. And just kind of looked at the house that was now empty. I was empty nesting. And just he was no longer enjoying what he was doing. I was working for him. I had stopped I had retired as an executive chef from my last job to run his company. So I'd been doing that for a few years, and he was just tired of it. He'd done it for 20 years. And we kind of just, over the course of a conversation, said, why are we waiting for someday? We always knew someday we wanted to travel in an RV. He hates to fly. So we knew flying wasn't going to be a thing for us regularly. And so we kind of said, why wait? We both had the misfortune of losing parents too early, and just life events that caused us to kind of say there is no promise for tomorrow. So let's just go for it. And in the course of that conversation, decided to sell 2 businesses, our home, everything in it, and figured it would take a couple years. Set our kids down over news that we're going to be vagabonds living in a box. And they were supportive, and we said, but it'll probably be at least a year and maybe 2.
Right.
And long story short, 9 months later, we were living in the RV. All of that was said and gone and done. And it just, once we decided, things went really quickly. And they kind of just, everything fell into place. We thought it would take a long time to sell the business. We had a buyer within 2 weeks of our decision. It was just, everything just kind of kept falling into place like perfect dominoes falling over. And so by July of 2018, we were on the road. We'd been living in the RV for several months in Kansas City at that point, tying up loose ends of our life because it all went so fast. But so yeah, we've been on the road now for not quite a year, almost a year. So, but in the RV for longer than a year. So
right.
That's kind of our RV story.
That's so cool. Yeah, Heidi, who was another person that I met through that very first full-time Freedom Week, she says, woohoo, full-time living, it was meant to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I mean, even Ed and I, we said, oh, it'll take 2 years. It took 1 year. And then, yeah, we had to live in it stationary and, like tie up all those loose ends that seemed to, I pictured like a guitar string getting cut, like, boing, and it's like, wait, let me just tie it up real quick before I can do this. But that's awesome. So you mentioned that you had businesses, and I love that you are so like ingrained with food and traveling. So can you tell us how you used to travel on the train? Tell us that story.
Yeah. I have been in the food industry since I could work, since I was 16. So it's 35 years ago almost. I started in the food service industry. I've been in the back of the house, so as in a chef capacity, I'm industry trained. So I've been in that capacity for almost 25. Doing everything from being a professional cake decorator on my own to having a catering company to a small bistro, and that all eventually led me to BNSF, where I was an executive chef for their corporate fleet, traveling the country. And I was gone 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but I was also home that much when I was home. So it was kind of a, give and take. Yeah, I'd have to be gone, but I'd also get to be home and off for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. So I traded quality time for quantity. And that job, unbeknownst to me, prepared me uniquely for RVing because there was about 35 cars in that fleet. We only took about 6 to 12 out at a time, depending on the event. We had up to 12 kitchens that could be potentially the kitchen I was working out of, and they were anywhere from smaller than an RV kitchen to half the size of a train car, which isn't much different than a Class A motorhome when you put them side by side. And we are in a 40-foot motorhome. So storage-wise, all of that stuff, I had no idea at the time that I was going to be doing this, 4 years after I left the railroad. But it just uniquely prepared me for this small, moving, mobile lifestyle. We used to joke, another chef and I used to joke on the railroad and say, at the end of the day, this is just fancy camping. Well, I had no idea how funny that was going to be later. So
yeah, I remember the first time you told me that, and I was like, that's true, right? You're on the train, like it's not exactly, hotel life or, luxury, whatever, but yeah, I mean, RV life and train life, I imagine, are pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean, I was serving anything from, sandwiches to a big event to, Warren Buffett owns the railroad. So Warren Buffett and the likes of that, 5-star meals in the high-end dining room. But we were doing it out of a small kitchen in the back of a train car. And so that's why we would joke and say, we may be putting out 5-course meals, but it's just fancy camping. So it was fun. I learned a ton in that job, but yeah, I had no idea the preparation it was gonna, my husband's had a harder time adjusting than I have. I haven't really had any hard time adjusting to any of this. So, it's been harder for him.
Yeah, ditto. I didn't live in a train, but I lived in a hotel room when I met Ed, when I met my husband. And I remember the first time he came over, he was like, where's your stuff? So I think I was just, I was already prepped and ready. Is that a food pun? Prepped and ready for the RV life, just like you, I guess. So what would you say when you're moving in directly with I guess kitchen related, food related. I know for me, I've told my story, I moved into the RV and I thought I had to get rid of everything. There's just not enough room. I don't want to be cluttered. So I told you this on the phone yesterday. I had one spatula, I had one frying pan, and then I realized my meals really sucked. Like that it was like, we have pasta one night, taco night, and it was all the same, and there was no room to buy any real ingredients or, in my head. So what advice would you have to someone who says, I can't deal with a small kitchen, or I'm not sure how that's actually going to work for me?
Okay, yeah, I've kind of addressed this a lot over the last year, so it's a lot easier to talk about than I think it was in the beginning, when I started Cultivated Journey. I think some of what I've, come to find out from my followers and things like that is that a lot of it is just getting over the mentality of I'm camping. You have to see it as a lifestyle. You have to see yourself as living out here, and because campers, grill out. They throw the foil, they throw the hamburger in, they make cowboy packets 3 nights in a row and go home. And there's a lot of fear, and you probably know this from, my husband also went to Florida and became an RV tech. So we have the RV techs in residence, right? And so he's even amazed at the amount of people that are afraid of using their convection oven or their appliances, because I think they just think, I'm in a camper, they can't surely work the same, or it's not going to come out the same. And so it's getting past the idea of camping, because I don't know how many people I've even had say, thank goodness I found some of these recipes because I'm so sick of making hamburgers on the grill every night, type of thing, because that's just the go-to for a lot of people when they're trying to figure it out. So my biggest advice is to initially just think of it as smaller. It's a smaller kitchen. Like, I've come to look at RV like a small apartment. There's people that live in New York City that never have any more space than this, and they make it work. So it's a matter of just, now we had the luxury of having the RV in our driveway for 2 months before we officially moved into it, which kind of allowed that process of taking things out, bringing things in, to see what fit. But I would say the more you can plan, even if your transition is going to be over a weekend, you probably kind of know the layout of your RV. So really think about what you're putting in each of those spaces. And I tell people to think about how they cook and plan to cook the same way. But in an RV, as you know, Liz, you have to think of things as multitask. So your appliances need to do double duty. The things that you put in your RV mostly need to have more than one function if possible. I mean, a pan's just a pan, right? But, like if you buy a blender, I always tell people to buy a blender system so that it has one base, but it might have the food process.
Hang on, hopefully. Hey guys, can you see me? My electricity went off, which meant I have real internet now, so the real internet went down. Can you guys see me? I'm so sorry about this. It says people are watching. Okay, awesome. Robin says she can hear me. Denise says she can hear me. Dick says I forgot to pay the internet bill. Shut the hell up. Hey, so we're going to be in the dark for a minute. Hopefully my electricity comes back on because my internet isn't as good on my phone. But Melissa, I'm sorry. Do you remember where you left off?
I'm not sure what I was talking about last when you lost power.
You guys help us out here. Talking about transitioning. Oh, multi-purpose items.
Yeah. So if you're like in my house, I had a food processor and I had a blender, and I had a small bullet blender that made smoothies, and a big coffee maker that did all that stuff. You have to think, I still want to do those things. And that's why I tell people, there's two things to, your electricity's back. There's two things to address there. One is still plan to cook the way you cook unless you're wanting to make a change. Some people, I took it as an opportunity to also get out of mom mode because we were empty nesters. And so even my pantry at home was still stocked kind of the way I had always stocked my pantry for 20 years. I still had my kids, one kid living in the basement going to college, the other one very close by with her two little daughters. And so I was still stocking all of that stuff. And moving into this RV, I got to rethink.
Hey, let's keep rolling. So what are some things that you've done since you moved into the RV that ensure you eat well? Obviously, you're a chef. You're not going to McDonald's. You're not grilling hamburgers every single night and having hot dogs because, that's all there is. So what have you done to ensure that when you're in a new place, you're getting the best ingredients, you're eating well?
Well, a lot of what I do is encourage people to be local. So, eat fresh, be local, travel often is kind of my byline. And so the more you can connect with the local community you're in, i.e. farmers markets, local farms, co-ops, the better food you're going to get, especially if your other choice is a small hometown grocery store where the produce is all really sad, or, the meat, you might have to seek out a meat purveyor not to get all injected meat, but to just seek that out in the communities that you're in. And I have learned, well, what I do is just prepare ahead of time, know kind of what I want to cook. And just like home, I always have some fallbacks. There's always a frozen pizza in the freezer, or there's always a box of mac and cheese, or whatever it is, we like that might be in the cupboard, that if there is a night that you go, I just can't cook, there's options. I am going to do a pantry live, I think, sometime soon. I'm starting to do lives every week as of last week, so it's brand new. And I'm going to address...
Look forward to the mishaps.
Exactly. Well, the first one happened because I went live on Facebook last week to do an unboxing for Farm Box Direct, because I had told my people that I wanted to see what it was all about. So if you were in an area that there either A, it wasn't farmers market season, or there was no farmers market in the area, would Farm Box Direct be a good produce option to get it, because you can order it and have it shipped. Now, you'd have to be somewhere, for a week or two. You couldn't just be there for 2 days to get it unless you knew ahead of time that you were, where you were going to be. But if you were going to be somewhere for a few weeks, that's an option. So I wanted to see what it was about, and I did. And I told everybody I was going to do the live unboxing, and I hadn't gone live on Facebook for a while, and I had a new toy with the ring light on it that held my phone and clipped, and I didn't have my glasses on. And so when we pushed to go live, I went through the entire 12-minute live unboxing and wasn't live. So, because at the end, my husband said, "Which button do you want me to push to turn it off? This blue one that says go live?"
Oh my gosh.
And I said, "Yes." And he said, "It's right there in front of you. You couldn't see that it said push this to go live." I said, "I own my glasses on." No, I saw that button.
Oh my word.
And I wondered why it was there, but I couldn't read. So I packed everything back up. I truly did unbox it live, but it wasn't live.
Live so in your RV.
I did a dry run accidentally. So yeah, I went live with that, and that kind of got me going again on the lives and enjoying it so much that I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something every week with this, and eventually maybe offer, full on 10-minute recipes or 15-minute cooking demos or things like that. I'm going to start with things like, here's what my kitchen looks like, here's how it functions, maybe do a pantry live where we address kind of the essential pantry if you want to be a quasi RV gourmet or not. And how I store things and that kind of stuff. So I am going to do some of that live as well. But I've just really enjoyed as my brand goes along, being able to watch all the followers that that's what I want to do. I want to do whatever, kind of like you, I want to do whatever people need and are looking for. So I'm always looking for feedback on what do you want. And I don't want to forget this. One of the pieces of advice I would have for people is, if you're not sure if you want to get something, and I'll just say like an Instapot, because I've had a lot of people say, should I get the Instant Pot? Live in your RV for a little bit and see how you're cooking, see how you're living, get used to it. I think getting in and making, stocking things that you're not sure you're going to use quickly is probably a bad idea. We've even learned some of that ourselves with like the remodeling of our RV. Like we removed a TV that we just put back in the other day because I was certain we wouldn't need it.
Really?
And so sometimes, you know, if you're not sure. So I personally knew of the Instant Pot craze, knew why it was out there. But I did not get one right away. I wanted to get out here and see whether I felt like it was something I would use. And I do use my Instant Pot a lot, but I use it for, I have chili in it behind me right now. It's still cold in the mountains. I'm in the mountains. But I also use it for canning, roasting, and then I also bought an air fryer that dehydrates. So again, if you buy something like an air fryer, an Instapot, buy the one with more features. Don't just buy the one that's in Walmart that might have less features. If you go online and Amazon and look, you'll see there's all different models. So go ahead and buy the one with more features, because the more features one thing does in an RV, the better. Don't just buy the cheaper one, because then you'll be like, oh, it doesn't do this. If I'd bought that model, it would have. So just kind of don't jump the gun, and because you don't have space to put three giant appliances. So
Right. We're having a debate, I think, in the comments. Someone says 3.5 years, no Instant Pot. Someone else says, oh, I love mine. I've been debating it. The only thing is, anything that crock pot, blender, whatever, I have almost no counter space. The only counter space I do have is where my clean dishes go. And so I have to make sure all the dishes are done before I put out something like that. But now that, we've been in the RV, 2.5 years, I think, I'd like to switch up my cooking style and make it a little more convenient for myself. So I have been debating that, especially, I guess, because my crock pot actually stopped working. So now I really have to cook every meal. And, for someone that's busy like me, I'm not too interested in doing that. Someone says, Johnny is asking, is the Instant Pot what you cook minute rice in? So he doesn't even know what it is.
Oh, well, no, the Instant Pot is it's a pressure cooker. That's what, I think there's a misnomer that it's just a glorified crock pot. And it does have a crock pot mode, although I have yet to use that. I didn't use crock pots before in my life unless it was for game day nachos, or, I had a string of them that connected, but they held hot dips and things on game day and stuff. So I don't use it for that. I use it for pressure cooking, which also translates to small batch canning, which that's the funny story. I think
please tell us. This lady cans in her rig, y'all. I think I put that on Facebook right before we went live. And when I heard this story, I just thought it was so... Obviously, canning isn't creative, but I think it was, I don't know, just so, like, gung-ho, whatever. When you get into an RV, you think you have to give up so much of your previous life. And this woman is proof that, like, heck no, I can if I want to. So, yeah, tell us how you do that.
Well, here's the funny thing. As you said that, I even thought I was crazy for taking it on, because I grew up knowing how to can. If you read any of my blogs and stuff, my grandparents were on a farm, and my love of cooking came from both of my grandmas. So I've been around canning. But throughout my life of raising my kids, it was just never something, except when they were really young. I did have a big garden for a few years. I did some canning then. But other than then, it didn't work into my life. So I haven't canned personally, but it's been on my bucket list, knowing that once the kids get gone and I could grow vegetables again, I could do some of that in my spare time that I would have, because my kids weren't all at home anymore. And so I moved into the RV, and I thought, I didn't even think about it. And then I saw something on, the YouTube or something that made me go, huh. And so then I decided, I wanted to see how many jars would fit in it. And I'm going to all these farmers markets, and I can get a good deal on a whole bushel of, pickled cucumbers. And I thought, I wonder if I can. And technically the Instapot directions tell you can't, or that you shouldn't. I don't know what the disclaimer is. But there's quite a few people on YouTube that will tell you otherwise. And so I just thought, why not? And what it allows me to do, and I have the storage, under my bed to keep my like 12 jars of pickled goods at any given time. It allows me to small batch can those things and always have my own pickles, even if it's only 3 jars. Because here's the thing, it goes back to what I've said about thinking about things differently in an RV. We think in a home, canning is like you get out the giant pot and you get out all of those millions of jars, and it takes up your whole kitchen for an entire day. And that just doesn't enter people's mind, like that can't happen. And so I just thought, why I think about this differently. So I do 4 jars of pickles at a time. I do 4 jars of jalapenos at a time, and I get to do them throughout the year. I don't just do them in the fall when harvest happens and you stock up for the winter. I do it so I always have my own pickles, or I always have my own. I do green beans and okra and stuff for Bloody Marys also. I don't do 4 jars a time at those, but I've even gone to preserving lemons and oranges so I can up my game on our rices and couscouses and things. And I don't know, it's like added this dimension of fun. We are also, I've always wanted to microbrew, and I thought we left that behind too, and we're going to start doing that in a few weeks. We have a toy hauler, so we're installing stainless steel tables and a sink back there so we can have our own microbrew.
Really? Oh my word. Yeah. So there is another RV blogger living a stout life, and I believe they also brew their own beer in their rig, and I just think it's just one of the coolest things, right? Like, you have this passion. I feel like when you are a full-time RVer, you're living a passionate life, right? Like, you're living very intentionally. You like to do it. Because if you don't like to do it, you stop almost immediately. Yes. So I love that you're able to branch out and say, okay, well, if I could live in an RV full-time, to hell with it. I'm going to see if I can and make beer in here too. Why not?
Right, and I'm not going to make 5 gallons. We're buying the smaller 3-gallon carboy, and we'll do smaller batches than we probably would if we had, a home. And obviously It requires adjustment. You can't have a full-on, room that's, your basement dedicated to this multi-tiered brewing system. You do have to think about it differently, but I guess my biggest encouragement is if you want to do it, you might be able to find a way, There's definitely things we can all think of that probably wouldn't be possible in an RV, but I mean, we all see it. There's people out there doing all sorts of hobbies and things, and I just would encourage people to think about how you could do something differently than you might do it in a home, but still get the same result.
Yeah, I love that. So, Melissa, you now have a cult following. Just so you know, your blog, Cultivated Journey, is about to blow up. Do not disclose your location at any point in this interview. Carrie says, I think I'll follow you around the country, LOL. Tara says, party at Melissa's. Microbrewing, that's so cool. Heidi says, Melissa, you are my kind of girl. Unknown Normal says RV microbrew. And that's cool. Yeah. Heidi says, one of her passions is crafting, quilting. She says she makes large quilts in her RV. I built the virtual campground for my RV. It all depends on what you're interested in. You can really do it. If you get creative and you say, to heck with it, let's give it a go. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
It doesn't work out, right? And as far as the actual cooking, I have found, again, back to doing things differently, that one of the, it's a chef thing, so you're going to hear me throw this out, but it's called mise en place in a professional kitchen, where you have to it literally means everything in its place. And that's all the little prep bowls and things like that. So I did come at this already obviously prepared. I already worked that way, but it's super important in an RV when you're wanting to do something that's a little more adventurous to, at least with space, to plan out a little bit. You might have to do a little bit of prep ahead of time and get some little Tupperware bowls to stack it in or in the fridge or whatever. But if I prep and clean as I go, I can do almost anything in the RV. I even have if you go back and watch, I think it was the interview that I did for Full-Time Freedom Week, I have an antique ironing board that my daughter redid with food grade top on it and the whole bit that I can unfold behind me to use as an island when I'm doing bigger projects. So,
yeah. So if you guys didn't get that, she has an ironing board, like ironing your shirts for church, like that her daughter helped her turn into an island for her motorhome. She whipped that out. Yeah, it was for Full Time Freedom Week. She whipped that out because we did like a tour of her kitchen, and I was like, "What? It's so perfect, right? Because it's a bigger, it's something that you need, right? An island in a kitchen is so helpful. But also an ironing board, that thing folds right up. That's so genius."
Girlfriend, I do not iron.
Yeah, right.
There's no ironing going on. It's just for food. And because it folds flat, it goes like under. We talked about you maybe being able to throw it on Chelsea's bed, but it goes under my sofa.
Yeah.
Or you could put it in a bracket on the wall. There was a point before we rearranged our furniture that it was actually out and stuck, and it would go kind of back into a corner. We redid our slide and reversed our couch and stuff, and so that doesn't work now, but it's in a bracket on the wall, and anytime I need it, whether it's inside or outside, it's a completely new big surface to use, which is with my daughter, because she did it for me, we jokingly call it the island board. And I've told her, I said, watch out. Someday some RVers are going to catch wind of this, and you're going to get like all these orders for these ironing boards. Yeah, she needs to buy
that domain, islandboard.com. Somebody, don't buy it, guys. That's rude. let her daughter buy it. Yeah, so we have a couple questions. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
No, please.
We were just scrolling through here. Tara says that when my internet dropped and it became a layer in here, she said you were talking about your blender, your food processor combo. Can you explain which one you have and the benefits of it?
Yeah, I have the Ninja system, and it's a food processor blender, and it has like two of the smaller like smoothie cups or prep cups, so you could do salsa in them or whatever. And I got rid of products at home that were Cuisinart and things like that. And even though I had a Ninja coffee system, I was skeptical. I had that chef snobbiness going on. I thought, I'm not sure if I'm going to love this Ninja system. It's not a Vitamix. If anybody knows what a Vitamix is, it is not a Vitamix. Vitamixes cost about $600, so it's its own thing. But it is the next best thing to a good blender, and comes close to a Vitamix quality. I'm not going to lie and say it's there, but it's not a cheap Oster blender. It's a really good blender system. I can do really good margaritas. The food processor works really good. I was afraid that it would be cheap blades or something. It's not. It's built really well. So I really like that. My air fryer is also a Ninja. I have to say I'm just impressed with their products. And I was skeptical, and I'm impressed with their products. Chef approved.
Awesome.
The air fryer dehydrator I love. I was dehydrating a whole bunch of mushrooms yesterday, and I just love that function on the air fryer. So
wow, so that's a combo as well. See, I didn't know that. I thought you had the air fryer and the dehydrator. That's amazing.
No, it's a combo. The one I bought also has roasting and things like that, so we can just throw a small amount of roasted potatoes in if we don't want to turn on the convection oven.
Yeah.
So it's such a multi-appliance too, and those things do go in. They don't fit in my kitchen. They go in a different spot. So you have to like get yourself a little Rubbermaid tub to slip underneath. Or like we have the toy hauler room, so they are on a shelf back in the toy hauler. But if you don't have that, those appliances it is something to consider. You have to either have a tub to put it in your underbelly storage, or a place under your dinette to put it, or some people have different places in their bedrooms that they might be able to put an air fryer and Instapot. But we do have room to put it in those two items in the back.
Awesome. So I think, hang on, I'm sorry. Somebody said the convection oven and baking. I think somebody was asking, can you bake in that?
In the convection oven? Yeah, absolutely. It's like at home I had an oven that also had convection, like a lot of us did, convection function. It's the same exact thing. It just looks like a micro, so it's smaller. But that's the thing about the convection ovens that freak people out. I've even had people in here and they've watched me put something in the oven, like a sheet. Mine fits a full size sheet tray, like a cookie tray,
right.
a full size sheet tray. So it's big enough to fit a full size sheet tray in. And I watched one of my friends watched me slide a sheet tray in, and she goes, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "It's not on microwave, it's on an oven."
This shit's about to blow. Get out.
And that's the thing. People can't get past the idea of, I don't understand how I can put metal in here or how it works. It's just a convection oven when you push the right button. It's just an oven. It has the rack and everything, and it works just like an oven, except it's convection. So you either drop your temperature down a little bit or you decrease your time a little bit, just like you would with a convection oven.
Okay, great. This is a pretty fun question. Unknown Normal asks, we love to put fresh ingredients on our frozen pizzas. What are some of your favorite pizza toppings, Melissa?
Well, pizza is one of my, it's my thing. If I think I just wrote a thing on Instagram like 2 weeks ago about having to admit that pizza was one of my favorite foods. To myself, I had to admit it. And my husband looked at me and said, "I could have told you that a long time ago," because with him, we're always seeking out a good burger, and I guess unbeknownst to me, I'm always seeking out good pizza. So my favorite toppings on pizza tend to be these three. Pepperoni, I suppose. That's just usually by default. Mushroom and onion. I'm a big onion lover, but we also like a good sausage and pepper pizza too. So I'm not a fan of the Hawaiian pizza.
I literally, oh my gosh, Melissa, we're on the same length. I was just going to ask, now for the great debate. Discuss in the comments. Does pineapple belong on pizza, people? I love it. So growing up, my mother, we kind of kept kosher. We're not Jewish. I always have to say that, but my mom, she's kind of weird. So we kept kosher, so we didn't eat any pork. And so that's what we would have on our pizza, like pineapple, right? Like chicken and pineapple or something like that. And I think it's really good. So I don't like ham and pineapple. I don't eat pork even to this day. But chicken and pineapple, I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Unknown Normal says, I'm okay with pineapple as long as the bacon and the jalapeno are on it too. That's so funny. Terry says, no way on the pineapple. All right, here's one. The Instant Pot versus the Ninja Foodie. Your thoughts?
Good question, because the Ninja Foodie came out after, like, not long after I bought my Instant Pot. That's the way life works, right? And I went, oh my gosh, this tool does everything. So then I spent a little while trying to see if I could get Ninja to send me the foodie to do a demo, because that's, why not? I have a brand, and
that's what bloggers do. Go on.
Right. And I couldn't find that they have any way to do that. And because I already owned my Instant Pot, I was like, I can't justify spending $200 in an RV on another. But so I followed it closely. So here's my, I have not used the product as my disclaimer, but here's what I've seen other people say about it. There's a big giant lid that closes on it because it dehydrates, it does everything. It's the air fryer combo. It's like an air fryer married an Instant Pot and had a baby.
Wow.
It does all.
I've
it
never
does
even
all
heard of it. So go on.
So initially I thought that would have been the product to have if it had just come out a few months before when I was ready to buy it. But from what I've heard, that big lid, they're probably going to have to come at, there's a giant lid that opens, and then inside it there's another lid depending on what function you're using. The giant lid never comes off. And that's people's biggest complaint. One, it's a bigger appliance. It is bigger than an Instapot. It's definitely bigger than an air fryer. Now, is it going to take up a little less space than both of those combined? Sure. So that if you want one appliance, but I've had multiple RVers say that the lid is always in the way. Like it doesn't open under their cabinets very well. So they have to kind of bring the Instant Pot or the foodie forward because that lid won't detach. That's the biggest complaint. Functionality wise, I think people are liking it, but there's a lot of pieces and parts because it's maybe almost too many functions. So I don't know. I would love to try one and see if I loved it, but once I saw how bulky it was and that big lid that didn't remove and stuff, I thought maybe it's better off that I didn't get it, because I like that my Instant Pot fits under my cabinets, and when I am cooking, that it doesn't have to be at the very edge of the counter because this giant lid's in the way. So
yeah, so I guess if you had like a large fifth wheel
with an island
and like a big cupboard to store it in, then go for it. So
right.
Definitely not my RV. I should turn my kitchen is so small. We can't even make a sandwich on our counter space. We have to make it here at the dinette. Drives Ed mad.
You need an island board.
I do. Give your daughter my number. This is a great question. Do you boondock ever? And if so, what do you do to prepare your meals? Do you do any meal planning, and does that change?
We, as of right now in our RV life, are not big boondockers. We have boondocked before a couple of times. Mm-hmm. But that, and you know, as lots of people know, RV lifestyles, as you travel, sometimes you find yourself changing your travel lifestyle. And I absolutely could see our travel lifestyle changing at some point to include a whole lot more boondocking based on the part of the countries that we're going to, be in. It has not included that at this point. So, truth be told, I can't speak to that very well. I mean, I know enough about all of our power needs and things like that to know that it would require us to probably, of course, go have the solar on top and things like that. But no, it's not something we do very much of.
I'll see you there. Ed doesn't like to sweat, and he likes the air conditioner running at all times, even if it's cold out. I have it off. You guys, so this is a little off topic, but when Ed is gone, I never turn the air on. We're in Tampa. It was like 96 degrees today, and I just don't have the air on when he's not here, because he loves it so cold, and I prefer to be warm. Like, the air conditioning's not on right now. It's probably like 90 degrees out, but I'm comfortable. But anyway, Unknown Normal, to answer Jessica's question, they said, we boondock a lot. It doesn't change how we cook for the most part. And can I just say, if you guys ever on Instagram or something see Unknown Normal and they invite you to eat, they are really, really good cooks as well. They came over and they had like a taco bar set up on my bench. You guys know my infamous bench, right? We had like the food right here because I have no counter space. And we're like bending over, to grab it. But yeah, so that's a little off topic as well. But they're really good cooks, so that would be a good person to answer that question as well. Johnny Lightning says, well, who needs air conditioning when you're drinking pina coladas by the pool? Amen. Well, actually, I prefer rum and Coke. That's my thing. Yeah. All right. I think that's all the questions. I think I had one more, personally. Let me refer to my notes. So, is this professional or what, guys? All right. So, talk to us real quick, because I do see it is 8:50. Just tell us about your cookbook. I've been following your adventure, like I saw. Or like I said earlier, I watched her launch Cultivated Journey, and I'm so excited about this cookbook. She's been talking about it and working on it for a long time. So tell us about it and tell us how we can help.
Okay. Well, to be fair, I haven't been working on it for a long time, but it has been a thought. It was going to happen.
Churning.
Yes.
I've been working on the show for years in my head.
Once we decided to go on the road, I had talked about writing a cookbook for a long time. Even back in my former Sticks and Bricks life, I just had never really said, no, I'm going to do it. And it was one of those things that once we went on the road, I kind of said, and I decided to build Cultivated Journey and, take this journey. I thought, now's the time. So I am actively writing my proposal at the time to try to find my publisher. Anybody that's followed knows that at one point it was going to be a part of the Nomad Fest brand and all of that, but I think everybody knows that that's all gone. So no more
I'm
Nomad
like,
Fest. Yeah. So, at one point that was going to be, I was tied to that. So I had to untie myself from that. and it didn't stop me. I still wanted to do it. So it was fine. And so I actually decided that it's going to be a 3-book series. I'm going to divide the United States into 3 sections and then subsections within those sections. So, for example, the first book is going to be the West, which will include the Pacific, the Southwest, the mountains, and the Pacific Northwest.
this is so cool, you guys. This is the first time I'm hearing the vision, so I'm super stoked. Keep going.
I've been in a professional cookbook mastermind for 2 months now, so that's really dialed it in, and so once I find a publisher and all that good stuff, it'll just be on a roll. So I'm really excited to get the first one, written. My plan is to have the 3-book process, bought with a publisher. So it'll also determine how we travel in the next couple of years so that we hit the central region and then we hit the eastern region, because I'm going to highlight 6 to 8 farms in each book, just as part of it, along with my own stories, but how
cool.
people, this is how our viewers can help. I'm going to need recipe testers and official recipe testers. There'll be a form that you get that makes it really easy to critique the recipe. And I'm going to need people that are willing to do anywhere from 6 to 12 recipes. So it isn't going to be a giant commitment. It's not like you're going to have to do it all within a week. And I'm not going to need anybody to even start testing until probably fall. So that gives, I already have several of my followers on my list. So if you think you're on my list, you probably are. But I need quite well, because I had people one day say, "I'm on your list, right?" I'm like, "Yes, if you told me you're on my list." But I still need quite a few more, because I want to have enough that I'm not burdening anybody to, here, you have to cook 20 recipes. If somebody just wants to do, if somebody just wanted to do 4, I would give them 4. So that's the biggest thing. And then in the fall, once I start that piece, I'm also going to start a contest for recipe submissions that I'll put a window on, but then I want to be able to highlight about 3 RVers recipes in each cookbook. So I'll do a contest for that. So that'll be fun.
I love that. We've got Unknown Normal. We can do it. They were the ones that said that they love to cook, and they cooked and came to my RV. I was like, wait, you guys are cooking? I'll drive to you. They're like, no. So they're really gung-ho, so they would be great. Heidi says, sounds like a great plan. I want to be a recipe tester too. Tara says, me. Terry says, sounds interesting and fun. So I think you've got some fans already that will be excited. I would volunteer, but I probably wouldn't cook the recipe.
Liz, I know enough about your cooking that I'd say probably not.
I had Ed cook me, because I was so late. I didn't get home till like an hour before this show. And he was like, oh, I didn't take anything out for dinner. And I said, oh, I'll just have some eggs, please. So I had eggs for dinner. I'll have eggs in the morning. I keep it real simple, folks. I keep it real simple.
Well, I assume you're going to somehow put the link to where people can then send me an email or a message so I can put their name on the list if they're truly interested.
Yes. If you look at the link description right now, you'll see a link to her website, and you can subscribe from there. And Melissa, if you have a specific link and you're watching the replay, it'll be in there too. I'll put it in there. Okay. We've got one question about the taste testing or the recipe testing. Do you have to cook it or just eat it? You have to cook it, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Come on, Johnny. Get with it.
Because we're all over the country. So unless you're willing to come where I am. No, the idea behind recipe testers when you're writing a full-on published cookbook is you have to be sure that recipe is replicatable the way you want it to be, that anybody can replicate it. So the idea is to have the recipe, make it, and be able to say,
Right.
yes, this worked, or the questionnaire will very detail out what didn't work or what they would think needs to be different. And then hopefully it's a success and nothing has to be changed. But if it does, then if they're interested, they might have to test it a second time if there's
Right.
some changes made or
Well,
something.
maybe I should do it. If your cookbook is aimed at for any RVer, maybe I should test it for you, because I'll be the ultimate test dummy. It's like the outlier. Like, okay, well, if she can do it, then I know this is gonna be a hit.
I would love you to do that, Liz. I would love that.
Johnny says drat. Yeah, Johnny, there's a little bit of effort involved on your part. Heidi says Liz won't be submitting any recipes for that contest. No. Maybe Ed. Ed loves to cook. Ed loves it. He only stopped cooking. I'm going to make him watch the replay because he says, oh, I can't cook in this kitchen. So he's actually really, really missed it. And he's kind of gotten back into it now that we're not traveling as quickly. But anyway, tell us again where we can find you on social media and the name of your website and how people can get on that wait list for the recipe testing.
Okay, it's all super easy. It's Cultivated Journey everywhere. So it's cultivatedjourney.com is my website, and where I put recipes and blog posts. Seems to be more recipe heavy, but I also have other blog posts on there. And you can sign up for my newsletter. I send out a newsletter every 2 weeks, but you're going to hear from me every week because there's going to be a blog post or recipe also. And so you can sign up for that way. My email is melissa@cultivatedjourney.com. So that's real easy. And then I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So, and it's just Cultivated Journey on both of those. So
awesome. And Unknown Normal says they just signed up for your newsletter. And you guys, really, so Melissa and I were in a mastermind together, and most of you watching get my emails, and so I've you gotta email your people. It's the best thing ever. You'll really meet so many people, and it'll grow your blog and everything. So she sends out, mine is hey guys, I went swimming today. Hers are so well thought out and amazing, and I've been getting her emails, since the first one. And yeah, she puts out great content, whether that's on her website, recipes, her newsletter, everything. So if you guys are interested, definitely sign up, get to know Melissa. She's definitely one to watch. Thank you so much, Melissa, for all your tips. Oh, we have one last question, and this is a kind of a fun way to end the show. Do you do a lot of barbecuing?
Do what?
Do you do a lot of barbecuing?
Yes, we actually do. We are Kansas Cityans, and so I'm sure I'm sure I will have Texans and North Carolinians pipe in on this, but we have the best barbecue in the world in Kansas City. So
that's the next episode. We'll be debating pineapple on pizza and barbecue, guys.
Barbecue. But yes, we do grill. My husband's the grill master. I don't claim to be I can grill, but he loves to grill. And he also bought a smaller smoker. He had a huge one at home, and he still smokes meat. So, yes, we do barbecue.
All right. That's awesome. Yeah, Unknown Normal. They're I just unsubscribed. We're from Texas. No, they didn't say that. They didn't say that, but they are from Texas. Jerry says, barbecue is something you eat, not something you do. I'm with Jerry on that one.
It depends on where you're from, Liz.
Yeah, right. I'm with Jerry. I'm you know what? I'm going to eat it. I'm not going to do it. All right. Thank you so much, Melissa. This was really, really great. I look forward to seeing how your cookbook unfolds.
Me too. Thanks, Liz. This was fun.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was so fun, you guys. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us. I see a lot more. Maybe I should send out every week when I'm going live because there was a lot more people. Sorry that the internet was kind of wonky. So I'm in this park. It's wicked cheap, but you get what you pay for. And my worst nightmare came true. The electricity went off halfway through the show. But thank you guys for sticking in. there and hanging out with me. Next week, I'm really excited about this. Oh my gosh. Follow Your Detour is coming on, and they're going to talk all about how their RV life really transformed them as people and as a couple. Talk about some of the struggles they were having in their life before they hit the road, and how basically RVing kind of saved them. So I'm really excited. Lindsay from Follow Your Detour is someone I've been working with super closely. You know that if you followed Full-Time Freedom Week at all. We've been working together for 2 years, and I just can't wait to interview her and her husband Dan. So thanks guys so much, and I will see you next week.